Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to Apple Tech Talks, and as you know, Apple announced a new iPad at their keynote a few weeks back, and they revealed a multitude of products there. The iPad 2019 was one of them. And while this was definitely one of the less exciting announcements of the keynote, the iPad 2019 does have a lot going for it. In this video, we're going to be talking about that. So Apple is selling this new generation of iPad at the same starting price as they did the previous generation, and the value has never been better, especially for Apple, which usually prices their products at extremely high levels. And so let's dive right into some of the features that make it really worth it at this price point. So some of the features include a 10.2-inch display with a resolution of 2160 by 1620 pixels with the 264 pixels per inch. Pixel density. You've also got the smart keyboard compatibility now. You've also got Apple Pencil support. Keep in mind though, this is only first generation, so the latency is a little bit slower. And you also have got controller support for PS4 and Xbox One. And there's also pretty decent cameras on this iPad 2019. So on the rear, you have an 8 megapixel camera, and on the front you have a 1.2 megapixel camera. They're definitely good enough for video conferences or even casual video recording. I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's good for actual photography, but it'll serve your everyday needs for sure. Another feature is the A10 Fusion chip. So this is found in the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, so it's relatively speedy, and for an iPad it's more than enough. For any sort of light tasks you want to do, even more intensive things like gaming, the iPad should handle it perfectly fine, so you shouldn't have any issues with the A10 Fusion. Keep in mind that Apple has a really big advantage in the processor game. I mean, they just have a lot of advanced technology from their processors that really make it worth it. And even the A10 Fusion chip, even though that came out like 3 years ago, it's still miles ahead of most competitors' processors of today. So I wouldn't really worry at all the fact that the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus chip is being used in the iPad. I wouldn't be surprised actually if when you recycle your iPhone, if the chip goes into new iPads. That would make a lot of sense, and that's a great way to reuse it. So there's also second generation Touch ID, which is great. It doesn't have Face ID as the more higher end versions of the iPads, but Touch ID second generation is honestly in many ways better than Face ID if you think about it. And then also you've got stereo speakers. So there are only two unfortunately, not the four that you usually get that gives you the surround sound experience, but you got stereo speakers, downwards facing, just your typical speakers that you'd find on an iPad. It's also got 10 hours battery life still, which is amazing considering that they're putting in a new processor, they're putting in better cameras, they're putting in a lot of new technology, and it does come in colors of silver, gold, and space gray as usual. And also if you purchase it, you get 1 free year of Apple TV Plus, and we're yet to see how popular those shows actually are, but I might do a review, and if you guys want to see that, leave a like on this video and leave a comment below letting me know. But I personally think that it might be an added benefit, definitely. So what to keep in mind about the iPad 2019 is that it doesn't include these things. It doesn't include more than 128 gigabytes of storage, so you have to go for 32 or 128 gigabytes. It also lacks portrait mode, which for a lot of people who use the iPhone 10 or later have grown accustomed to this feature. The portrait mode does not exist on the iPads, even though the cameras are pretty good. It doesn't have any sort of dual lens camera on the back or anything like that. So yeah, there's also no quad LED True Tone flash. There's also no fully laminated display, so there's a small air gap in between the display glass and the actual display screen itself. And you might notice that in day-to-day tasks, it definitely feels a little bit more like your fingers actually touching the surface of the screen on the higher end models, but it's not a huge deal in my opinion. It's the same as the iPad Air 1. In the sense that the design of the air gap is still existent. You've also don't have ProMotion, which can be found on the higher end iPads with a refresh rate of 120 hertz, and there's also no P3 wide color gamut, but honestly you won't really notice this unless you're maybe streaming HDR 4K video. Then you might notice that the colors don't pop as much. There's also no true tone display, so based on the ambient lighting conditions, your iPad won't change its display. It'll only adjust the brightness, more intense or less intense. There's also no neural engine, and which will, I guess, sort of decrease graphically intense tasks like gaming or AR. It'll sort of decrease the quality a little bit, I suppose, but also it might not be as battery efficient. That might be the other thing. There's also no USB connector, so this can be found on the very new iPads. Still not implemented in the iPhones. I'm pretty disappointed with Apple on that. They need to be standardizing at this point, but there's no USB-C connector, unfortunately, on the iPad 2019 quite yet. But I expect maybe within the next 1 or 2 generations they will include that at some point. Definitely by the next iPhone they should have done it. And there's also no smart keyboard folio case, which is only available on the iPad Pros. So this iPad is available starting on September 30th, which is just, depending on when I make this video, just a few days from now. Now, which variant of the iPad should you plan on buying? Well, my personal opinion is that you should plan on buying the Wi-Fi version in 32 gigabytes. So that's only if you're not a heavy user. Of course, you know, if you really want to go all out, you can get the 128 gigabytes and Wi-Fi plus cellular, which I believe should still amount to under $600. But I just think that for this kind of iPad, Apple's clearly using older technology, and they're trying to market this towards people who are on a budget. I wouldn't really recommend at that point trying to use it for anything more than casual YouTube watching, music listening, email checking, internet browsing, watching movies and TV shows, and playing video games. I think other than that, you shouldn't be doing any actual job work on this iPad. I don't think it's really at that point where it's a good idea to spend an extra $100 to $150 just to have that added feature of cellular capabilities or the keyboard. I don't think the keyboard is necessary at all. I think the Apple Pencil could be helpful in certain cases, but only if you intend to draw on it pretty often. And also, I don't think the keyboard, like I said, is a good idea. And 128 gigabytes, I'd say I'm open to that as well if that's something you'd be interested in. 128 gigabytes of internal storage. I get the 32 is not really cutting it for most people these days. So yeah, 32 totally can work out as well. But again, you'd have to be a more heavy user. You'd have to have downloaded movies and stuff like that, which not too many people are doing anymore. And just to let you know, the 128 gigabyte variant with Wi-Fi markets for $429. So pretty reasonable price for an iPad, especially from Apple. But yeah, guys, all in all, that was about it. That wraps up the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I make videos every single weekend, or I'm trying to at least. And I'm going to be making really cool videos coming up. I am getting the iPhone 11 Pro, by the way. It should be, according to the email I got a few days ago, shipping in a few days. But if I don't get it, I'll definitely have it within the next few weeks, within the next 2 weeks or so, 2.5 weeks. I'm really excited. I got it in midnight green, 256 gigabytes, iPhone 11 Pro. I'm excited to check it out. I've already watched some reviews on it, and I've heard people's opinions in it are sort of two-sided, but I'm really interested in providing my own input on the matter. So yeah, guys, I'm very excited about that, and you will get my honest, unfiltered thoughts and an honest impression of whether you should buy this phone. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed my roundup of the iPad 2019 that starts at $329, which is Apple's cheapest iPad that just keeps getting better, and I think it's one of the best tablets you can buy in the market right now. So if you're in the market, definitely check out the iPad 2019. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye.